Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday, December the 12th, the day after CPI carnage. So today's verse, behold, the days are coming, says the Lord, that I will raise to David a branch of righteousness. A king shall reign and prosper, and execute judgment and righteousness in the earth. Notice the king is capital in referencing to the birth of Jesus Christ. All right, let's get into it. Welcome to the AM briefing brought to you by microtrader.com, where together we trade better. Episode number 322. We're in MES Futures trading room where together we trade better. And there's always another high probability trade around the corner. Tip of the day, rules over greed. Very similar to yesterday's tip, rules over profit, but rules over greed, especially when you are counter. And when you are counter, don't press your luck. If you counter at all, in our group, you'll hear me say the play is longer flat. Shorting is counter if you counter, small if at all. Never make things worse. Never move your stop loss. Never add to a losing trade. I am giving extreme warnings if you counter. Small, if at all. Now for today's news drivers, well, it's the day after CPI, and it's going to be PPI 1 hour before the market opens. We will not be watching that live as a group, but we will be live 30 minutes before the market opens for our daily mental training. So realize this is Thursday, going into Friday, contract rollover happening here the next 2, 3, 4 days. FOMC next week, OPEC next week, end of the month, end of the year, after a strong open to close vertical move. Okay, so today is probably rest day, or would you please take it all back? That's what I would love. Would you please take it all back? I had the phenomenal short, and I'll show it here in a minute. So let's get to it, guys. So first of all, let's just zoom out for a second. What has happened? Well, we had this primary trend line that we have had on our chart. Then we went parabolic. CPI news released, straight up, come back over, back test the strong level, back test the trend line, and continued forward, failing to get the all-time high, which is fine. Doesn't need to do that. If you watched yesterday's AM briefing, I gave you stats on the last 12 CPI days, and this turned out to be a normal expected CPI range day. So yeah, that's where we're at here. So I'm going to keep this trend line on here because this trend line looks like it might line up with the IB low. So if we get back to there, that'll be interesting to see that response. But for this time being, I'm going to go ahead and remove that trend line. Let's drop down to a 3-minute chart. So although I would love to say I was in that move up, I was not. I was actually hoping we had a decent push down, went to one of my strong levels that we had discussed in the group, and that's not what happened. So we just did a tiny little, didn't even take out the London or Asia low, and then just shoot straight up. Got up over the bull bear line, which is here, and then the warning shot to bulls. You can see how it got over it, retested it, and went long. And that is what it is. So yesterday, like I said, I made my living the hard way. It was a small green day, which I'll take. So we finally got to that 83 number we'd been talking about. Took a small short there, made nothing. And then right here, we took this short. If you took it at 90 like Pappy did, you were in. Mine was just 2 ticks above there and just missed me. It is what it is. And then I'm done trading for the morning. Came back and I actually shorted about the middle of that wick is where I shorted. But in a 3-minute chart, that looks like it was perfect. But you drop to a 1-minute chart, you'll see back and forth, back and forth. It was up. I was in the profit a point or so. I moved my stop into 1 tick profit. It came back and got me. Originally, I had the stop just above up here, of course. But once it goes into the profit and I am counter, Rules over greed. Sure, if I could have stayed in that short and I'd have had this protection layer, I'm still in that trade. I'm still in that trade. But that's not what happened. And then I entered another short here because we got another short. And by the way, this would have been an add-on, this little white candle here. This goes into the, I could have added there. I could have, but it wasn't enough distance for me to add. And that's where I told the group when I was discussing that I could have added there. I said, when counter, don't be too greedy. Don't be too greedy. Don't see money, take money. And if you happen to get a protection layer, good for you, use it. Such as here, had I got into that, stayed in that short, I was in that short, and I would have developed this protection layer, and that's where I would have stayed because this is not a bad trade location. Just it sometimes price behaves in the manner that it needs to behave for me to stay in the trade. And then if you could have stayed in that trade, you're still in it. You're still in it because I'd have went to bed. I would have probably put my stop just above here. I don't think we got up there. No, we haven't. So you're still in that trade. That's kind of fun. No big deal. There's another high probability trade around the corner and you just wait. So yesterday at one point, we had two sets of single prints. Let's go to a 30-minute chart. Let's pull that up. We had two sets of single prints at one moment. We had it here, came and got it, and then we had it here, and at the very end of the day, came and got it. Let's go look at that on a 3-minute chart just to pull that in. So the single prints represents strength of a move, okay? So as this is barreling north, we left one set of single prints, we left a second set of single prints, and triple distribution day is kind of the technical terms, but what does it matter? All it's doing is showing, wow, we're leaving behind single prints. This is a really strong move. Just another way to say that. It came back and got them right here exactly. And at the end of the day, right at the close, grab that set of singles. So there are no single prints. So yeah, that's pretty wild. So where are we at now? So going into the close, we basically retraced a half back, which is 87.50. I'm going to move you over here to my quitting time, 11, 87.50. We're back to the warning shot to bulls. You can see how we've tested it here. We've tested it here. We're trying to get under it and coming back. Nice battle zone. It would seem to me if we get under here, we would at least target the IB low. And if we get under the IB low, would not be shocked if we took it all back. And I'd love for us to come on down to 37.50 because this is where I wanted to be long yesterday. When we were barreling down to here, I said, okay, we're going to probably get a bounce at 37.50 to this strong level. It just didn't quite push far enough. Order was in. Oh, well. So note here, 2 days of vomit. What should we take forward after that? Not probably, the risk of short covering is high. The risk of short covering is high. You need to put that in your mind. And when you're seeing this move, that's short covering. If you decide to counter that, like I did yesterday, I did counter it. I didn't get on the train to go north. Small, if at all. Don't make things worse. Don't get greedy. That's all. Small, if at all. One loser and I'm done. If I take a losing counter trade, I remove myself from the chart. Why? Because I'm making trading hard. And then sometimes you can get a little hard-headed and go, dang it, you're going down. You're going down. I'm going to keep shorting this. And you turn out to be a stupid trader. And stupid traders don't last in the business. So our group schedule, 30 minutes before the market opens, we will do our mental training. So make sure that you show up for that. Now let's go take a peek at the indices real quick. Where is everybody else at? Come on, computer, load my lines. The one thing, I zoomed this out a little bit. Dow and Russell are definitely being different. We're pushing and pulling almost every day. These guys are doing different than ES and NQ. Now, NQ did make an all-time high, pushed it. And at this very moment, the two that matter the most, we are inside of yesterday's range. Cool, no problem. Is that bearish? Not really, but they are under their VWAP at this point. We do seem to be laddering down at this point. And then you add that Dow is under yesterday's low. That can spell possible, potential, further down pressure for ES. So if I popped on the chart right now, what would I look for if I was trading? Well, I'd love to see it pop up first, obviously. Let's come and grab this overnight high, give us a shift and let us get short somewhere in here, and then maybe we can get under this warning shot to bulls, targeting the IB low, targeting the bull bear line. And boy, if you get lucky, could it come all the way down here and grab that? It sure could. Now, the other scenario, obviously, it could come down to the IB low, grab this liquidity, come back up and target for the all-time highs. This would be the first trade. If for some reason, let's say we opened up right now. This was the opening. We came straight down to here. The first thing I'm going to look for here is a reason to get long. Will I have a limit order just sitting here? No. Why? Because you got this huge void here. You've got this monster void here where there's going to be little price support, in my humble opinion. This could be an easy move down. So, but I will say this would be the first pit stop to look for a long. Beyond that, my eyeballs would not be on a long till possibly somewhere way down here. So the IB low today probably serves as your bull bear line. The IB low probably serves as your bull bear line for today. On the larger scheme, which is why this was published on Sunday, I believe that was the bull bear line for the week. So technically, we're above it. The bulls are innocent until proven guilty. All right, let's do our bull bear. All right, so for the bull bear overnight trend line, well, the overnight trend line, I have got to give that to the bears. I got to give that to the bears. You draw this. That's the only trend line I could think of drawing there is for the bears. Session stacking. Well, let's go to a 30-minute chart. You know, I just can't give it to either. We are just in this larger chop zone at this point. I could easily come in here and say, you know what? From here to here, geez, it almost like we're just in a chop zone. So I'm not going to give session stacking to either person. No, we're not going to give session stacking to either person. VWAP, we're either above it or under it. And once again, this can change quickly, easily. But at this exact moment, I'd have to give that to the bears. Overnight halfback. Let's come in here. Well, we look like we're certainly in the lower distribution of the overnight range. Let me turn on this. So the halfback are these little plus signs, which is basically VWAP. So at this exact moment, I'd have to give that to the bears. However, we do seem to be bouncing off this warning shot to bulls line. Wouldn't be surprised at all to see us get over it and come take out the overnight high before the market opens, without a doubt. I mean, that is probably the highest probability trade that exists on here right now, is for this to continue going up and taking out the overnight high. That's what London seems to do. Yesterday's range, we are in yesterday's range. We are in the lower distribution, but we're still within the range. I'm going to give that to the bulls. Indices, well, NQ and ES are certainly in yesterday's distribution. NQ is above it. Whew, man, what am I going to give it? I've got to lean to the bulls. It is the bulls. They are innocent until proven guilty at this point. Bull bear line, I got to give that to the bulls. And yesterday, if we would have done the bull bear line, which I didn't think was necessary going into CPI, but the risk of short covering was high. I don't believe there's a risk of a liquidation break or a short covering. I believe the greatest risk today is insane chop. So looking at the scoreboard here, it looks like it's 3 for the Bulls, 3 for the Bears, which makes sense. We're in the middle of the range after a monster day going into contract expiration, rollover. So be careful out there, guys. Certainly level 10 trading, and I'll see my traders live 30 minutes before the market.
Stay green, my friends, and to learn more about our group, go to microstrader.com.